Level 1. The laboratory. The first thing you remember is not warmth. It is glass. Not a mother's face. A window. And beyond it, people in white masks watching you the way you will later watch weather reports. You are an infant. You are already being measured. 17 years in that laboratory teach you the only conversation that matters. Command, then performance. A man says again, and you do it again, because doing it again is the only thing that has ever made someone in this room look at you, not love. Attention. You learn early that these are not the same thing, but you do not yet have a word for the difference. You learn to fly before you learn to ask why. You learn to lift steel before anyone teaches you to say scared. There is no one to say it to. The room has no windows that open, only the one that watches. Something changes the day you realize crying does nothing. Not in the room, in you. You stop. Not because you feel less, because feeling here has no audience. Level 2. The name first. You are not a person. You are a designation, a code on a clipboard, an entry in a binder thicker than you are tall. Vought does not call you anything yet, because naming is power, and power has not been decided. Then numbers. Then letters and numbers. Then finally a word built for marketing meetings, not for you. Homelander. You hear it before you understand it is supposed to be you. Somewhere in a drawer, in handwriting that is not yours, is the name John. You do not know this yet. You will not know it for years. When you finally learn it, it will feel like finding a photograph of a stranger who happens to have your eyes. You learn the lesson early, and you learn it completely. A name is not who you are. A name is what you are used for. Homelander is not a person wearing a costume. Homelander is the costume, and somewhere underneath it, getting smaller every year, is someone they forgot to name. Something changes the day you stop looking for him. He is still in there. You just stop checking. Level 3, Stillwell. Madeline. Stillwell does not look at you like a test result. She looks at you like a child. You do not have a word yet for what this does to you, so your body decides for you. You lean toward her the way a plant leans toward the one window in a room with no others. She says your name, not the code, not even Homelander. She says it softer than anyone ever has, and something in your chest that has been clenched since the lab loosens. Just slightly. Just enough to hurt. You do not ask why she is kind. You have not yet learned that kindness here is also a kind of instrument. You only know that for the first time, someone is looking at you like you are real. And for the first time in your life, someone is looking at you like you are real. If you are still here, and I think you are, subscribe. We are 3 levels in. You haven't seen what this feeling costs yet. You decide, without deciding, that you will do anything to keep being looked at that way. This is not a metaphor. This is the foundation. Level 4. The 7. They put a cape on you before they put a story on you. The story comes later, written by people in a conference room who have never met you, polished until it sounds like something you'd say. Then, a stage. Light so bright you can see every face that can't see you back. 3 billion people somewhere, watching a screen. None of them know your name. Most of them don't know there is a name to know. You smile because you were taught the smile before you were taught to read. It works. It works so well that you stop noticing it's working. The way you stop noticing the weight of the suit on your shoulders after the first 1,000 times you've worn it. Applause sounds like the ocean, if you've never seen the ocean. It rises, it crests, it crashes, and then it stops, all at once, and the silence after is the loudest thing you have ever heard. You stand on the stage and feel something close to love. It is enormous. It is also empty, the way a stadium is empty once everyone has gone home. 42 floors below, the lab is still there. You never go back, you don't have to. You carry it with you. Level 5, Power. It happens quietly, the way the worst realizations always do. You are standing in traffic, not stuck in it, above it, and you understand, fully, for the first time, there is no one. No handler, no door, no wall built strong enough. Nothing in this world can make you do anything you don't choose to do. You wait to feel powerful. You wait for the rush they promised you in every drill, every test, every again. Instead, you feel the silence get bigger. If nothing can stop you, then nothing is watching closely enough to matter. If nothing is watching, then the only person keeping you inside any lines at all is you. And you were raised by people who never once let you draw your own. This is the loneliest discovery of your life, and you have no language for loneliness, because loneliness was never named for you. They only ever named obedience. You go home that night and stand very still in a room with the lights off, testing whether stillness still feels like something. It does. Barely. Something changes. Not in the world. In the math of what you think you're allowed to do. Level 6. The first line. There is a moment, small, almost forgettable, which is exactly why it matters, when you do something you cannot undo, and you do it not from rage, not from a plan, but from simple arithmetic. You can, and nothing stops you, so you do. No one in the room says no loud enough. Someone flinches. Someone looks away. Flinching is not the same as stopping you, and you have spent your whole life learning the difference between people who are afraid of you and people who will actually say the word no, and mean it enough to risk what saying it costs. No one has ever meant it enough, so the line moves. It does not break. It just relocates, the way a fence gets rebuilt 1 foot further out, again and again, until the field you're allowed to stand in is the entire world. You tell yourself it isn't your fault. It isn't your fault. But you know what you did. You go back to the tower. You smile for the cameras at the entrance. The smile is not a lie. It is just the only language left that everyone still understands. Level 7. Stormfront. She is the first person who does not flinch. Everyone else in your life arranges their face around you, careful, managed, performing safety the way you perform warmth. Stormfront looks at you the way you imagine looking at a mirror. Nothing to protect, nothing to soften. You mistake this for love almost immediately, because you have never been given the tools to tell the difference between someone who sees you and someone who simply isn't afraid of what you are. She agrees with things you have never said out loud. She makes cruelty sound like clarity. For the first time since the lab, you do not feel like the only one of your kind in the room. You do not ask where her certainty comes from. You do not ask why none of it costs her anything to say. You are too busy feeling for one specific blinding stretch of time, equal to somebody. It will turn out to be the most dangerous mistake of your life. Not because she lied to you, because you wanted so badly for someone like her to be right. By the time you understand what you let her build inside you, it is already load-bearing. Level 8. Ryan, you did not expect a child. You did not expect, even less, what happens in your chest the first time he looks at you. He looks at you the way you used to look through the glass, like you are the only interesting thing in the room, like whatever you do next will mean something. No camera has ever looked at you like that. No applause has ever looked at you like that. You do not know what to do with it, so you do what you were trained to do with anything you don't understand. You reach for control. You tell yourself it's protection. You tell yourself the world will hurt him if you don't decide, for him, what he is allowed to become. Some nights you watch him sleep and think, I could let him be just a boy. Some nights you watch him sleep and think, I was just a boy once, and look. You never resolve which thought is true. You don't have to. You just have to decide, every day, which one you're going to act on. And most days the second one wins, because it's the only one you've ever had evidence for. Level 9. Stillwell's death. You do it yourself, not because someone tells you to. Because for once, the choice is entirely, undeniably yours, and you have spent so long not having that having it feels like something you owe yourself. After, silence. The kind that used to follow applause, except now there is no crowd to wait for, no stage lights to soften it. You stand in the quiet and wait for the feeling you assume is supposed to arrive. Grief maybe, relief. Even just the simple, ordinary weight of having ended someone who once made you feel real. Nothing arrives. You wait longer. Still nothing. This frightens you more than anything that has ever happened to you. More than the lab. More than the first time you understood your own strength. Because if killing the first person who ever made you feel human produces no feeling at all, then something essential has already left the building, and you don't know when, and you don't know if it's coming back. You straighten your collar. You practice the smile in the dark glass of the window. It still works. That, at least, hasn't changed. Level 10. The mask cracks. For years, the story about you was written carefully, in rooms you were never invited into, by people paid to make sure the world only ever saw the version that sold. You believed, somewhere underneath everything, that this meant you were in control of the story. You were not. The first time the narrative slips, a leaked photo, a misjudged speech, a flash of something true on a live camera you forgot was running, you wait for the machine to fix it the way it always has. It hesitates. For the first time, it hesitates. And in that hesitation, you understand something that should have been obvious from the very first day in the laboratory. Vought never lost control of you. Vought built you to need control, and then made sure it was the only thing offering any. You are not losing your grip on the narrative. You never had one. You were the narrative, on loan, and the loan is starting to come due. The smile in the mirror looks the same. It just takes longer now to put on. Level 11. Watching yourself. Someone shows you the footage. You watch it once, expecting to recognize a stranger. You do not. You watch it again. Same footage, same 8 seconds. The eyes, the stillness right before. The thing your face does that you have never seen it do in any mirror because mirrors don't catch you off guard. You watch it a third time looking for the part where they're wrong about you. You don't find it. What you find instead is worse. A version of you that looks exactly like every drill, every moment in the lab when you learned that doing the thing was the only way anyone would look at you, except now there is no man in a white coat telling you to do it. There is only you, choosing, and the footage doesn't lie about who's choosing anymore. You tell yourself they caught you on your worst day. You tell yourself a worst day isn't the whole truth. You are not sure anymore if that's a defense or just the last sentence standing between you and a truth you already know the shape of. Level 12. The last choice. Someone. It almost doesn't matter who, by this point, offers you a door you didn't know was still unlocked. Walk away. No suit. No vout. No 3 billion faces that know yours, and none of your name. Just John. Whatever that would even look like now. You stand in front of this longer than you have stood in front of anything. Longer than the stage lights. Longer than the glass. You try to picture it. A kitchen, maybe. A quiet room with windows that open. Somebody calling you a name no one chose for a press release. You reach for the image and find that you can't quite hold its shape. The way you can't quite remember a smell you haven't smelled in 20 years. You realize, standing there, that you are not deciding between two men. You are deciding between one man you can picture and one man you have actually become, and only one of them currently knows how to exist in the world. You don't choose John. You don't choose Homelander either. You just run out of time standing still, and the suit is right there, exactly where you left it. Level 13. Final. You stay. Not because you couldn't have been John, because John was never waiting somewhere safe for you to come back to him. He died slowly, in pieces, over 30-some years of laboratories and stages and rooms where the only way to be seen was to perform being seen, and nobody, including you, marked the exact moment it finished. There was no final scene where he disappeared. That's the part no one tells you. There is no last day of being a person. There is only the smile, getting easier, and the suit, getting heavier in a way that stops registering as heavy. The cameras are still on. They are always on. You lift off the rooftop the way you always do, the city small and bright below you the way it has been small and bright below you for 30 years, and somewhere in that bright smallness is a version of you that asked, once, just to be looked at. He got his wish. That's the part that should frighten you more than anything else in this story. Comment below. Which level was the one where you stopped feeling sorry for him, or the one where you couldn't?